I think the last thing to really talk about here is the event store. So let's mosey on over there and take a look at that. So all these events are giving you these con revenge chips. What do we actually have in here to get? The new edition section, not overly thrilled with here. You've got Locutus skill points, you've got 7 of 9 skill points. I don't feel like those officers are really struggling necessarily for upgrades. However, especially Locutus does have a bunch of PvP based things, and I think 7 has a couple of abilities too. So I'm wondering if this is like a little secret foreshadowing. A little secretly foreshadowing here. Where they're like, we want to give you the ability to upgrade these abilities on these fleet commanders because you might need them for whatever we've got in store for you coming up soon. Just a hunch. You have the ability to get some Trellium D for your mirror universe, and then you have some new stuff for working on your relativity. You've got the capacitors. You get both sets of parts for upgrading the relativity. You can also get the credits and things to do more of the turn-ins and get some of the favors and stuff for both sides as well. You can also upgrade the building a little faster if you would like to do that as well. Forbidden Tech fusion rods are also a slightly issue with sourcing. It's a slower dripping mechanic to get these, and these are what you need to unlock slots on new ships and to move tech around, which is not cheap to do either. So having a little bit extra sourcing for these might be interesting to some players, especially if you just recently got a newer ship and you want to put a tech on it, because some cost 25, 30, thousand just to even open the slot. The other new thing is this prime mirror particle does open up some new prime researches. We are going to circle back to that one in a minute. I do just want to move on because that's going to take a little time in and of itself. You know what? No, let's just do it right now. Let's just do it right now. Resource allocation. What's this thing called? Prime mirror particle. Thanks to Spock's Club, we can find out the 6 researches that are in the mirror tree, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that take that currency. So let's go find them real fast. Research tree, mirror tree, what do we got? We've got prime liquid Trellium D refining. That's in column 14. So that's this one out here. Okay. Giving you more liquid Trellium D. I don't really have issues with liquid Trellium D amounts now. If you do, maybe this is a good one for you to get. Personally, I'd probably pass this one. But if you're a newer player, someone just getting into the mirror universe, this could certainly accelerate your growth through claiming a lot of that stuff. We also have the mirror research efficiency right here. This is going to lower the cost of all of the different dust. This would be very helpful again in that same particular boat. If you're a newer player and you have a lot of the research to do, if you're a more experienced or a veteran player who's been around for a while, you have most of these things done already, so this prime has no value for you. Apex barriers right here, okay? This is a 2-tier prime that just gives you some basic apex barrier when fighting hostiles or player targets. Does not work on armadas. 500 or 1,000 at tier 2. So again, a little bit of a bonus, a little bit of a nudge. Not bad. This is the one that I think people were just talking about in chat. This prime isolytic damage, giving an isolytic damage increase of 15% for all ships. That's not bad, as we talked about before in the grand scheme of things. Isolytic damage comes before isolytic cascade multiplies things. So boosting that base number and making that higher, then the cascade kicks in on top of that and makes an even bigger number. So you're going to see a big trickle down effect, and especially because it's all ships, it's not a specific tech, it's not a specific officer. So again, doing things like solo waves or solo armadas, where you're using 2, 3 ships at the same time, you're going to see a damage bonus across the board. This is a good one to probably focus on getting. It does cost 1,000. We'll look at the cost there. The other ones over here, we have the raw trillium mining bonus. If you are someone who still is interested in mining these materials, or again, you're newer and you're just trying to play catch up, this could certainly be a thing to accelerate yourself through this path. If you've been around since the Mirror Universe was released last summer, probably very low value for you on this one. And then the last one is this central defense. So when you're doing wave defenses, the thing in the middle that you're protecting has 3 hit points to it. So 2 ships can hit it and you can still survive and win. The third one kills the thing and you automatically lose. Now, this will boost the health stacks with other players in your wave. Now, see, it doesn't say anything about solo waves. It just says more about regular wave defense. I would think it would apply for solos as well, but then maybe that makes them too easy. It looks like it only works on the group ones, but some people are saying it does work for the solos, so that's good. It's just kind of worded a little ambiguously. It's a one-off ability, so it bumps it up from 3 to 5. So effectively, you can let 4 ships get through. Which, if any of you are stuck on like the 5th wave, and you're like, oh, I can get like 1 or 2 hostiles dead, and then all my ships get blown up, that might be all you need, right? If you can just get 2 ships dead and let the other 4 go through, well, you've got a 5 hull health, thing. You win. So now suddenly, instead of dying and only getting the credits through wave number 4, you're now completing it and getting all the credits through wave number 5. Balbom agreeing with everybody else saying it does work. It's a big help. Just get better and you don't need to buy this. Well, that's a different topic, you know. But if we go look at solo waves here and just look at, if you're in the 50s and you're working on solo waves, through wave 4, you're getting, an extra 800 there. So that's 2,400 of the new currency for like a solo wave. It's currently broken. You're not seeing the Mirror Universe credits. That's something else that's working on being fixed. So I wouldn't run any waves right now if you don't have to, because that's on the list of things being worked on. Is somehow the Mirror Universe credits just vanished. But look at what you get in the last wave. You went from 2,400 to now 3,700. Like, this is a big jump. That's an extra like 50% in terms of credits that you're getting by doing that one last wave. If your ships aren't strong enough yet, and this would be a way to get them stronger and to get more stuff out of the faction store, that could be a good trade-off doing that research. So that way, again, when you look into one of these systems here, we just pop in for a second. Sure. Your central entity has 3. So again, like I said, it can take 2 hits and then 2 hits, me hitting you, you hitting the floor, right? That's all it can handle. After that, you're toast. But if you pump this up by 2 more spots, now you can, your best ship, the other ships slow things down, weaken them a little bit, do some damage. Your better ship comes along and picks off the damaged ones. And then you let a couple of the rest of them go through, and ta-da, you win the wave. And now you get the better payout. So that's not a bad one. Obviously, the isolytic one, probably the one players are going to be more interested in. It does cost 1,000, and I'm guessing that's all you can get. Yeah, you're capped at 1,000. Now, chances are this will stick around, and this will come back in future event stores. So whichever one research you don't get this time around, you can very likely get next time. But it will cost you 150,000 of your event store currency to do so. And we typically get anywhere, if we assume 400,000 is a realistic number for the average free-to-play person to get. Now, obviously, depending on how you finish in SLBs and ALBs, you could get more or less. But we'll just use 400K as a ballpark number. 150,000 of it right here is not quite half of your currency. Somewhere between, it's about 1/3 of your overall currency, maybe. This is sort of more of a big ticket item, but there's a couple of good primes out of there. So What you guys talking about now? You're talking about me again. Okay. I do make some good videos. I'm almost up to 4,000 subscribers on YouTube. If you're not one of my subscribers, could you just go over there and click the button? I need like 12 more people to get to 4,000. There's my free gratuitous plug for the day. I'm done. I mentioned at the top of the show. I'll leave it there now. All right. That's the new stuff. Then, of course, there's still plenty of value in some of the older stuff. Ship blueprints, if you don't have specialty ships like the Revenant or the Vindicator or the Protector, these are good things to buy here. Faction ships are usually way overpriced and rarely worth the cost. I mean, we're talking about 14,000 for one blueprint for a faction blueprint. No, thank you. When you could spend 750 and get some protector blueprints, or same thing with the Revenant, right? The specialty ships are a lot cheaper and easier to get. So I would highly, if you don't have any one of these ships yet, this is a good thing to work on picking up. Or even if you just, buy your other big ticket item and then you're like, all right, I've got 30,000 or 40,000 currency left. Like, what else am I going to get? Well, I can't get the Vindicator, but what I can do is I can get myself a lot closer, so I have to do fewer turn-ins in my, faction store, or so the next time we have an event store, I can pick up the rest of it, whatever the case may be. If you want to buy faction ship blueprints, that's entirely up to you, but I will say that they are not at all cost effective. Even the older ships, 7,000 for one, epic. Even a Pylum is 6,700 for a Pylum blueprint. Like, not very cost effective. So I would only really recommend specialty ships for these. New officers, well, Quasi and Alak are in here. If you didn't get them, good opportunity to unlock both of these or possibly tier them up. Same thing with Carol and McCoy, but again, keep an eye on using those Pioneer crests in order to tier them up, because all of these officers require the same crests, which are the same ones you're doing for the away team research. So getting the shards to unlock them, great. Tiering them up, even if you have the shards, could be problematic. So keep that in mind. And Joaquim here, I feel like you get plenty of shards for him once you get your reputation to a certain level. They just start throwing them at you. So I don't know necessarily you'd want to spend a lot of time unlocking him through the actual event store. All right. Other things in here. Well, you've got resources and materials. Those, again, also not cost effective. Specialty currencies. You got some good stuff in here if you don't have the fleet commanders, Lorca or Sloan, or you want to upgrade them. The skill points for those are pretty good. Also, your prime orbit medallions. There's a whole bunch of researches you can do with the prime orbits. We've talked about those in previous event stores because this hasn't, this isn't a new thing. This has been around for a little while now. Prime cosmic particles. These are available through Alliance tournaments. So if you don't feel like waiting 3 weeks till the next tournament starts, but there's very limited things to get from the tournament store, so maybe it is worth waiting. But if you're, whatever you want the research done, it's a big upgrade for you. That's at least an option for you here. Dolomite is in here still as well if you're still trying to do some of those prime researches. That could also be very helpful with finishing up some of that stuff. The Ferengi Whip is in here. Hopefully yours works properly if you do get it and unlock it. It's only been almost 4 months now since I got mine, and it still doesn't work, but, these things take time. Syndicate XP. Time this with the Syndicate event. Maybe you can get yourself some extra officers if you're trying to get to a specific Syndicate level. It's not a bad thing to upgrade on, but again, usually it's more of a, all right, I've got a little currency left. What do I want to do with it kind of thing. We'll probably have a Syndicate event later this week. They are on the calendar this time around. And the interphasic mirror is also in here. If you haven't acquired this through the last couple of event stores, this is a nice chaos tech. giving you a little bit of a boost to cascade damage against hostiles, as well as giving you some isolating defense against hostiles as well. This could, if you've been chipping away at it, maybe you finish this up, or if there's something brand new, it's not overly expensive to get. We're talking about 5,000 for 10, so about 40,000 should get the whole thing. Actually, probably even less than that. I want to say 37,600. I think is going to be the magic number. So that's not a bad thing to work on. Cloakings, these are incredibly expensive too, and don't have as much use in the game. I mean, just for example, if we're talking about, here's an epic, right? A G4 epic needs 120 shards, and they're charging 5,000 per shard. You're talking 600,000 event store currency to get cloaking unlocked. Basically, anything that costs faction credits is way overpriced in the event store. We'll just we'll just caveat it like that. And of course, you can spend it how you want to, but way overpriced in an event store. Especially if you're short faction credits, you can always convert Latinum, or you can always open multi-phasic packs or emergency field tokens or whatever to try and get some of that other stuff too. Cosmetics, well, this is strictly what it is. It's just something that looks pretty, and if you're interested in that, knock yourself out. What do we got for refits? We got some older refits. Maybe this is the month I finally finish my Cerritos refit. This is something I've just been slowly chipping away at, right? Every time I have, oh, I got 12,000 currency left. It's like, all right, I'll take 4 Cerritos refits. Maybe this is the month I finally finish it. There's a projectile or two in here, a couple of older refits. The G4 Apex barrier refits are in here. Those are okay. But I think where most players are going to end up spending their currency is going to be right here in the ship parts. Because, well, first off, we've got Revenant upgrade materials. Now it's cap of 10. But even still, getting 10 bundles, that's 175,000. Depending on where your Revenant is, this could be 2, 3, 4 components, which could save you, maybe a week in terms of tiering it up. And if it happens to be at a point where I am right now, I think I'm 3 components away from going to tier 10 and then being able to scrap it again and rebuild it and, you know, totally overhaul my refineries to getting G6 materials. This could be a place where I spend some of my stuff. There's the uncommon one. There's the Cerritos parts. Of course, standard caveat for those of you new people, anytime you're trying to buy specialty ship parts, don't just buy a whole bunch of them. Buy the amount you need to take it to the next tier, because many of these refineries are linked to the tier of your ship. So if your ship is tier 5 and you just like, oh, I'm just going to buy a bunch of materials and see how far I can get it. Or if you just buy enough and move it from tier 5 to tier 6, and then you come back here, this might go from 6,500 to 7,500. The price will be the same, but the payout will be higher because now you've tiered up the ship. So then you can go ahead and actually end up further than where you thought you were if you just take the time to stop in between and do that tier up. What else we got? We've got eviscerator parts in here. We've got protector parts in here. These are probably going to be 2, again, popular items. NX01 is in here. Vindicator is in here. Again, another popular item because the Vindicator is very slow to upgrade. I don't have the GS31. So I don't know if they would show me parts for a ship I don't have. I'm going to guess there are no GS31 parts in here yet. That will probably be, 1 or 2 more event stores that they're going to kind of milk that. It's a new ship. People don't have it unlocked yet, free to play. Usually after that, then another event store, it'll get added. So if we're getting the GS31 in July, and then we have an event store maybe in August, then whatever the next event store is, in the end of the year, in October, November, that event store might get specialty new item as GS31 parts, just to kind of then let people start accelerating it and catching it up after, that exclusivity period is kind of stretched out a little bit more. Gans confirming there are no GS31 parts. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate that. Yeah, I think that's very likely what we'll see. But the protector, I mean, you can get 400,000 beryllium spheres for that for only 75K. That could get you another tier or two. The eviscerator here, again, I mean, I'm looking at, based on my tier of my ship, close to 600,000. That could be a tier up. And again, certain tiers will overhaul your refinery. Now suddenly you're upgrading it and you're getting different ship parts or different resources. And those are sort of your immediate return on investment, your possibly paradigm shifting events and milestones. If you can cross some of those thresholds. And just out of curiosity now, I gotta go look. Where are we at here? So I need 4 components left. 200, 300. I need about 375,000 parts to upgrade my Revenant to the next tier. Well, I can get 175,000 of them out of the event store. And then I would need only another 200,000, which would most likely basically save me about a week to 10 days. Maybe that's worth it. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not the number one thing I buy on my list, but maybe after I get whatever it is, whatever prime I'm working on or something, and it's like, all right, what else do I want to kick along a little bit? Maybe I nudge this along a little bit along the way. The protector, what do we say, 400,000, depending on what tier you're at. Like right now, I'm about to go from tier 10 to tier 11. I just need another 100,000. Again, this is probably 2 or 3 days of my refinery, or if I'm a little less patient, I could just kick that over, tier up the ship, and then maybe it gets me, some additional benefits and abilities. And now I can take it out and I can go do more augments, and maybe that's worth it. That's a decision every player is going to have to make for themselves in terms of where they're at with that. Popular items, like I said, you're going to look at maybe an officer or two if you haven't unlocked them. The primes certainly always have strong value there. And then ship parts are going to be something that a lot of players do look at, especially once either if you realize I can't get the officer that I want, or I got enough and I still have some currency left over. What do I want to spend it on as a secondary item? So hopefully that all makes sense and you guys at least have a direction to go in. And of course, there's always the possibility that they may add a few other items. People always make requests, it always gets passed along. They haven't really done any changes to the event stores in a while. People have asked for things, and I feel like the last 2 or 3 event stores have been like, nah, what you got is what you got. Maybe next time. Maybe next time.